Welcome to our first summer worship service. Actually, it's not our first. It's one of many. Our summer worship service at First Unitarian Society of Ithaca, a community that reaches for connection, digs deep for inspiration, and strives to engage with a complex and uncertain world, characterized by the threat of illness and the light of summer, the pain of injustice, and the amazing bounty of carefully tended gardens. My name is Magdalene Lindeberg. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to everyone, whether you are newcomers or longtime attendees, members of the Ithaca community, or watching from afar. We are delighted you have chosen to worship with us. Like me, you may be wishing we could be together in the church parlor, with the hum of the fans, traffic on Buffalo Street, and church bursting with donations from the recycle sale. And one day we will be there again. But for today, we gather while physically apart, because amid this uncertainty, we know we need one another. Be sure to check your email, our Facebook page, and our website for more information about how to create connections amidst this experience of physical distance. If you'd like to receive weekly updates describing opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Our service this morning has been pre-recorded, but Jens and I will be joining coffee hour after the broadcast on Sunday, so you can share your reflections on his themes. You will also have the opportunity to share joys and sorrows at that time. We look forward to seeing you all. Our speaker today is Jens Wenberg with music by Molly Robbins. And now, if you will all breathe in and breathe out. The opening words are taken from a poem by Marge Piercy, To Be of Use. And I selected these in particular because they reminded me of Jens and of his wife, Nancy Miller, and indeed of so many of you in our congregation community. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud, botched. It smears the hands, crumbles to dust, but the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn. They're put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. Please join me in the chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. Please join me now in singing hymn 168, One More Step.
Till there is peace for us and everyone will take invite you to sit back in your chair, put your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap, and if you wish, close your eyes. Let go of those things you have to do after church and the projects you have to do on Monday, and hear these words by Dick Gilbert. In the holy quiet of this hour, we pause to reflect. This is sacred time that cannot be taken from us. These few minutes of calm in an often hectic week, this island of serenity in an ocean of events, this peaceful interlude in the midst of a warring world. We sit here to receive the blessings of life, the memories that drift across our minds, the hope harbored in these few moments, the dreams we care to conjure in the magic of this time. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Blessed be.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
One, two, three.
I left my dear trying to find adventure. She spent years trading my whiskey out for seltzer. Still I hear her voice in the pit of my failure. I ride alone down goodbye road. I kept my eye trying to find better weather, just to find it ain't getting any better. Still I hear that voice so clear and so tender. It's my tale to tell down goodbye road. Strangers, outcasts, artists, and thieves, misfits, legends, and lost refugees. We may not be where we thought we would be, but we made our home down goodbye road.
Said you were my queen, now you're just an old disaster. I said sticks and stones shouldn't be thrown from the pulpit, pastor. And when I hear that voice, I try to move a bit faster. I'd rather walk alone down goodbye road. Strangers, outcasts, artists, and thieves, misfits, legends, and lost refugees. We may not be where we thought we would be, but we made our home down goodbye road. goodbye road. We made our home down Goodbye Road.
This morning, I have two readings. The first is from the New Testament, Matthew chapter 25, verses 34 to 40. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me." The second is the Bodhisattva vow by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Every day, think as you wake up, "Today I'm fortunate to have woken up. I am alive. I have a precious human life, and I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use my energies to develop myself, to expand my heart out to others, to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. I'm going to have kind thoughts toward others. I'm not going to get angry or think badly about others. I'm going to benefit others as much as I can." I was getting bored. 20 years had lapsed since I left the corporate world, became a broom maker, and with Nancy started Joyful Noise Wind Chimes. We had grown the business, but we knew that we didn't want to expand more. So what was our ahead? Our children were grown, and now it was time to give back. I realized I could be of most service helping others with health care. So in 1992, I moved to New York City to train at the Harlem Hospital City College Physician Assistant Program. I wanted to go to South Dakota and work with the Lakota people and treat tuberculosis. When I came home on school break, I came to the Unitarian Church and sat in the pew there on the right and tried to make sense of everything I was doing. Then HIV chose me. I would take care of people with HIV and AIDS in the Harlem Hospital Infectious Diseases Clinic. I would try to treat the virus, but no medicine worked. I saw the patients who were vulnerable for pneumonia. I would give them an antibiotic. It would keep the infection at bay for a while, but it would fail and they would die. I found I could not cure them, but I could help heal them. My patients were from what was called the dregs of society. They had used heroin and gotten infected sharing needles. To get the heroin, they would steal or prostitute themselves. They would do anything to get a fix. Somehow, before they overdosed, they hit bottom and stopped shooting up. They went into methadone treatment programs and got clean. Well, maybe not clean, but they substituted crack for the heroin. This was a more manageable drug. Of course, they were sick and had no skills to make money, so they lived in SROs, single room occupancy hotels on welfare. They would be admitted to the hospital with a related illness. I would visit them in their rooms and ensure that they got treatment. Sometimes they were cured and were discharged, but soon they would be back again. Admission after admission, until one time they didn't make it. Somehow, with each one, I had connected, and I felt sorrow with their death. I lost a patient every week. One day, 3 died. I was heartbroken. I would come up to Ithaca, sit in that right-hand pew as the tears ran down my cheeks. I knew that I had a beloved community that would support me in my grief. Then in 1995, the day after Thanksgiving, an effective medication was approved. It would be the backbone of the HIV cocktail. I would give it to my patients, and they lived. Now they would have to figure out how they would live. They had been living with HIV and watched their comrades die, knowing they too would die. What were they thinking now? They had to get on with life. I was part of their deciding, supporting them as they struggled with living. One patient, Stanley, was in the hospital dying. His former wife brought his son to see his father for the first time in 13 years before he died. But Stanley got the cocktail, rallied, and left the hospital. His former wife asked me if I would be her doctor too. They came on different days, but then one switched and they would sit together in the waiting room before seeing me. Stanley said they were not living together, but she was holding his welfare check, so he didn't spend it all on crack. He continued to get better, but one day had a severe lung infection and died. I seldom went to funerals, but I knew Stanley, I knew his wife, I knew his son, so I went. We stood there looking down at Stanley, and his wife said, "He was clean and sober for 3 months. He lived a good life." Then there was Chris. He was homeless, a bachelor's degree from Ithaca College, a master's from Cornell, and had written the novel for the movie of Philadelphia. He was living under a bridge and smoking crack. I found him a room at the Y and started treatment the day it was approved. As he got better, he started writing again. His working title was Gay White Crackhead, Homeless in Harlem. Then he fell in love, got a job, and eventually retired from the Columbia University Medical School as the financial manager for research projects. In 2002, I retired from Harlem Hospital. My mentor, Dr. Alan Berkman, alumnus of Cornell, Columbia Med School, and multiple federal penitentiaries for his Vietnam work, said that I needed to go to South Africa if Africa was to be saved. He said South Africa had to take the lead. He said that 8 other HIVs could leave their jobs for a few weeks, but I could go for longer. In July, he sent us an email saying we were expected in Durban, South Africa at the Nelson Mandela School of Medicine in October for 3 months. We bought our ticket, packed our bags, and flew off. We asked the obstetric chairman, Dr. Moodley, what we could do for him. He was surprised. Most American clinicians knew what they should do and never asked what Africa wanted or needed. He asked us, now that medicines are available to prevent the spread of HIV from mother to child, why don't women test? We had to find out how many women tested. We reviewed charts of hundreds of women and found barriers to testing. When these were removed, the rate of testing went up. Dr. Moodley asked us to survey another hospital, and then the KwaZulu Department of Health joined in and wanted us to test 3 hospitals and 5 clinics. We spent several trips doing the study and found multiple institutional barriers. As our study ended, there was an election. Mbeki's ANC won. They were not interested in the results since they thought HIV didn't cure AIDS. We were very discouraged, but we heard there was an active interest in treatment in Lesotho. We interviewed the director of the Clinton HIV initiative. She was a physician from Lesotho who had gotten a grant from Elton John to treat HIV. We told her we would come to Lesotho for 4 months and then return again. When we arrived, the government asked us to go to a very rural town as an experiment. Could a nurse-run clinic treat HIV without a doctor? The sisters in Samongkong said their people were dying. We arrived one evening with 4 boxes of medicine to help. We started teaching the nurses how to test for HIV. When we got the first positive results, we needed to get a CD4 count, you know, the blood count. The nearest place was the Maseru Hospital, 75 miles or 4 hours by bus from Samongkong. The nurses figured out a way to get the blood samples there and the results back. The first person we tested needed treatment. So we taught the nurses how to decide which treatment and how to start it. We did not treat the patients. We taught the nurses how to treat them. They were the ones who would have to sustain the program. We came to love Lesotho and wanted to come back. It is an independent country surrounded by South Africa. They have never had apartheid. We went home and left them to try to do the treatment alone. We were welcomed back into this Unitarian community. After 3 months, we headed back to Lesotho. Samongkong is at the end of the road. To go beyond, you walked or rode a horse. Our patients would travel for hours to get to the clinic, and they would have to admit that to their community that they were infected. We expected we would have to take treatment out into the distant rural communities, but we found the people came to the clinic. They had seen miracles. People who were dying had been treated and came back to life. We thought we'd be in Samongkong for a short time, but the government decided we should be there for 4 months. As we drove up the awful road, we knew we were heading for our African home. The graves along the road held our neighbors. When we left after 4 months, the nurses had a sustainable way of treating people. Today, they have over 2,000 people on treatment. The government and Clinton Foundation asked us to come back. They sent us to a district at the other end of the country. It had 2 tiny hospitals and 5 clinics. One was only accessible by boat, and the other a 2-hour drive away. We were supposed to help the clinic start testing, but we got the whole district providing treatment. Each time when we came home to Africa, we sat there in our pew, marveling at being home, surrounded by this beloved community. We took our strength from here on our journey. Our last trip was to Malawi. It was a difficult trip. We were 6 volunteers and a goat living in a communal house. The temperature was 95 degrees and malaria was rampant. We slept under a mosquito net. The electricity went off and the fan stopped. We stewed in our own juices. I said, I wanna go home and get a dog, and then I can't travel anymore. We did. When we came home the last time, it was different. We sat in a pew surrounded by friends, but we were home. I volunteered at the recycle sale. I sorted women's clothes with some elderly ladies who are no longer with us. They joked saying, how can a man do this kind of work? I did it happily and went home in the evening to my dog, Amy. Life is good. Let us end by singing the hymn number 108. It has another name, but the name for me is, How Can I Keep from Singing? It's important to us.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice, foes far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
We extinguish this chalice, but not the hope, love, and courage that it represents. We carry our love and our courage out into this beautiful and broken world. Our service is now ended. Let our true service now begin.